Hey guys, what is up? I hope you all are having a great day. And as for me, I want to talk about Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3, titled Another Rick Up My Sleeve. Now, thought it was a good episode. It's not my favorite at the moment. Episode 2 of this season has been my favorite of this season so far. I definitely think that this episode missed more of Tim Meadows. I want more Tim Meadows because that's been the only humor that's made me laugh is the things that involved Tim Meadows. I don't know why, besides the fact that he is just a class act comedian. So maybe just his delivery hits with James Gunn's jokes for me. But those seem to be the only jokes that have hit for me. I don't want to get too off base, but even, the things with Vigilante. Vigilante was the star player surprise hit of last season. And I don't know if they just didn't feel like they had anything to do with him, but his dialogue, just everything going on with him has not worked for me. That being said, even though second episode was my favorite of this season, this episode gave me the most holy crap moment of this season so far, which was the reveal that Amelia Harcourt had a relationship, a friendly, friends with benefit, bestie type relationship with Rick Flag Jr., establishing that Rick Flag Jr. and her were really great friends, establishing that she probably did not want to have a relationship with Peacemaker because of her previous relationship with Rick Flag Jr. I thought was chef's kiss world building. I thought it was a great, fantastic idea. And I'm literally sitting after soccer practice today. I'm sitting there with my wife. I'm watching the show. And when that happened, I was like, holy crap. And my wife, who is just not as interested in this stuff, was like, what? And during the song, I kind of had to explain to her what all that meant. And that's something I'm just increasingly impressed with James Gunn with, is his world building, his setting up things. And I'm just, even though I'll say this, I'm super impressed with his world building so far, but I have a concern, and I'm going to bring it up a little bit later, that deals directly with world building and what his intentions are for the future of this franchise. But that said, really enjoyed that. I loved the fact that they opened the door for June Moon, aka the Enchantress, to be a part of the DCU universe. Now, I thought that she died in the original first film of Suicide Squad. That said, if she did or didn't, I do not remember. I thought she did. But if she did or didn't, I kind of wonder if they are the original David Ayer cut that we never saw. If she did die in the original film, I kind of wonder if there's something that the differences in the film and all the things that happened, I kind of wonder if James Gunn is kind of pulling from the script that never was, the movie that never was, and pulling that into his universe, bits and pieces, the breadcrumbs that he likes. But I do think having Enchantress in this world is definitely, not only an interesting option, but also may lead into a future enemy for Peacemaker. Definitely trying to evade his sins once more. Rick Flag Sr. will be his, confrontation this season. Who's to say an Enchantress won't come in the future? As far as Rick Flag Jr. from Earth 2, he's kind of a dweeb. And his humor was fine. Like, the fact that he kind of made him a clumsy guy was fine. Do I want more of this version of Rick Flag Jr. after this season? I would have to say no. I would have to say no. Maybe James Gunn can change my mind, but at the moment, I think this season will be good enough. I would love the actor to have another role, possibly, but as far as the character himself, I'm okay with just having that for what it was. We all knew it was going to be him. When they talked about the Jarhead in episode 2, we all kind of felt like that was going to be who that was, and it was. And so it was fine. Not a big deal, whatever. But I do think it was kind of funny that they changed him from being, instead of the Marines, he was in the Army. I don't think it'd be wise for James Gunn to make branch jokes. I don't know if that's what he's trying to do. That saying, like, all the branches make fun of each other, but if you're not in the military and you're trying to make fun of a branch, be prepared for all the other branches to pounce on you in defense of that branch they make fun of all the time. I don't know if they're trying to make a statement there. Like, if Rick Flag Jr. would have joined the Marines instead of the Army, he would have been like macho tough. But if it was, I don't know if that's the smartest thing in the world. But it was such a light statement that I guess it was just trying to separate the similarities, But it was interesting. And as far as the action, they opened up the idea of the Sons of Liberty. Now, if you don't know who the Sons of Liberty are, they're like this ultra-patriotic group organization. And, think of like a more extreme version of like Boogaloo Boys or something, And, I have a theory about this, but, I didn't think Peacemaker was going to go as hard as he did. Like, Peacemaker was ravaged. Like, he murdered these people. Like, brutally murdered these people. And I did not... I should. It's Peacemaker. Duh. Like, you should know what you're getting into. But the first episode, it kind of establishes that he's trying to be a little different. He's trying to be more of a hero. He's even trying to join the Justice Gang. And in this moment, he's just like, nah, I'm going to brutally murder all of you guys. And so, it is what it is. But, it was violent. It was violent, especially going John Wick on one of those guys with the pencils. Holy crap. I was like, ooh, man. Pretty intense, but it was cool. Action scene, some action that we desperately needed in this show. So I appreciated that. I do have a theory, and I'm concerned about it. In the previous video I did about Peacemaker, I think I had 2 theories. I think Rick Flag Jr. was one of them. The second theory I had was Earth 3. I thought that the big reveal was that we were going to be in Earth 3. I don't think that's the case. I do not think that's the case. I think the reality is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I think they're in Earth 10. Now, if you don't know what Earth 10 is, Earth 10 is in the multiverse, but it's a Earth where basically Nazi Germany won World War II. And I am not the founder of this theory. I'm not the person that thought of this theory first. I'll give credit where credit's due. There is a YouTuber called the Nando Cut. And we probably don't agree on everything, but the Nano Cut was, saying his theory. And he mentioned in the second episode that there wasn't many white people. Now, a lot of these YouTubers with big followings, they have, opportunities to watch these episodes before someone like me would have the chance to watch this episode. If it turns out that this guy has watched all the 5 episodes that were released and has come to that opinion because he's watched all 5 episodes and is pretending not to, well, then he sucks. But I don't think that's the case. And he's talking about the show, and he mentions it. And the second episode, I didn't think there was enough evidence for that. But then I'm watching this episode, and I have to admit, with all the different characters they have, you would think that they would want to throw the different versions of those characters into this other Earth. But as I'm watching it, I'm like, I'm only seeing white people. And then it really hit me. I was like, well, maybe this is just circumstance. But then it hit me. The scene where you would finally have a chance to see a character that's not white in that Earth. And maybe he looks kind of Indian almost. And he's at the hot dog stand. And instead of showing his face, they just show the back of his hair. And you only see the trim of his face. And then I was like, oh crap, that guy's right. That guy's right. I don't want him to be right. I think as far as having balance, as far as building your world, I think it would be better if this world was Earth 3. Because you got to show why this perfect world isn't that perfect. You got to give a reason. And, I didn't think that it was a good enough... I mean, it's a good reason. It's a good reason. But here's my problem with it. And this gets into the world building of it all. On Threads, okay? On Threads, they were having a conversation. And talking about if Season 2 is going to really tie into how it's going to tie into Man of Tomorrow, which is the film that James Gunn's working on. And this is what James Gunn says. They're just talking about different things, but he says, no, Season 2 is going to set up the movie. We'll probably see Lex in one of the last 3 episodes. And they're debating that, right? They're debating his claim. And then James Gunn says directly that basically Season 2 is going to directly set up the movie Man of Tomorrow. Now, people have had their theories about Man of Tomorrow being, the main villain being someone like Brainiac. And that's what I hope. But what if the main villain for Man of Tomorrow is a bunch of evil people from Earth 10. What's his name? Overman. Instead of Superman, you're going to have Overman. The Nazi Superman. Which plays into the idea of Sons of Liberty actually being good guys. Now, they acted pretty extreme. You're talking about killing people, blowing up stuff, that, setting up a bomb that's going to murder a bunch of people. I mean, that's pretty extreme. That's pretty extreme, pretty evil, if I say so myself. But, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Not much because of the show, okay? I don't hope I'm wrong because of the storytelling of the show. Because in the storytelling of the show, it makes enough sense. And I think really the reality is I do not think that James Gunn is going to carry over Earth 10 into the Man of Tomorrow. I don't think that's actually a possibility. But what I do think is that they could have this be the storyline. They wrap up the storyline, but then before the end of Season 2 of Peacemaker, they directly tie in what Man of Tomorrow is going to be about. I could see that. But I just, like I said, it's less about the story that James Gunn's telling. If James Gunn wants to tell that story, fine. It kind of fits with who, the red dragon was, or the white dragon, sorry. It kind of sets up who the white dragon was in the original series. It kind of sets up, it helps make sense why these versions of these characters are so beloved and all these different things in the world and the mind that James Gunn has. But I just know everybody on Twitter. It doesn't matter where they stand politically. I just know that Twitter is just going to be too much. If that turns out to be the story, both sides are going to be so annoying. So annoying. So we'll just have to see. I hope, like I said, guys, I hope I'm wrong. That's not the story that I really want to watch necessarily. I'll be excited to see James Gunn's interpretation of that. It'll be cool. It'll definitely give a reason why his father and his brother, maybe why he would not want to be in that world. But I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. But what about you guys? What do you think? Do you think that is a possibility? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think they're setting up? If not Earth 10, if not Earth 3, what do you think could be the possible setup? And what do you think is awaiting for us that's going to somehow directly tie into Man of Tomorrow? I would love to get your thoughts down below. But anyway, guys, until next week where we finally see Eagly trying to survive the special eagle hunter and all the shenanigans that are going to happen next episode, I will talk to you later. Peace.